You know, when it comes to scaling Ethereum, it's a total battlefield out there. But one project isn't just competing, it's winning, big time. So today, we're diving into the undisputed king of Layer 2s, Arbitrum One.
So just how big of a kingdom are we talking about? Well, you only need one number to get the picture. Nearly $19 billion. That's the total value locked, or TVL, inside its ecosystem. It's a crazy amount of money, and it tells you one thing loud and clear. People really trust this network.
And to put that number into perspective, Arbitrum basically owns about 44% of the entire Layer 2 market. I mean, that's not just leading the race, that's lapping the competition. It's more than double its closest rival. So the big question is, how did they pull this off? Well, it all starts with solving a really fundamental problem.
Okay, so Ethereum, for as amazing as it is, has this classic issue called the scalability trilemma. Basically, you can't have it all. You can't be super decentralized, super secure, and super fast all at once. Ethereum chose security and decentralization, which is great, but it created this huge traffic jam. The network gets clogged, and transaction fees, they just go through the roof.
Seriously, think of it like this. Trying to use Ethereum during busy times is like being stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic in Manhattan right at rush hour. It's slow, it's frustrating, and it costs a fortune in gas, literally. So what's Arbitrum? It's the brand new multi-lane superhighway built right over the city. It lets all the cars zoom past the gridlock and then settles up at one single super efficient toll booth on the other side.
So, how exactly did Arbitrum build this superhighway? Look, its success wasn't just luck. It was a combination of some seriously brilliant tech and a genius-level strategy.
At the heart of it all is a technology called an Optimistic Rollup, and the name kind of gives the game away. What it does is bundle up a whole bunch of transactions off of the main Ethereum chain, and then, well, it's optimistic. It just assumes they're all legit.
So how does it stay secure? It's this really clever four-step dance. First, you bundle up the transactions. Second, you post a tiny, compressed summary of them to Ethereum using this cheap data format called a blob. Third, the network just assumes it's all good. But, and this is the most important part, step 4 is a 7-day challenge period. During that week, anyone, literally anyone, can flag a bad transaction by submitting what's called a fraud proof. It's a trust but verify system, and you only need one honest person watching to keep the whole thing secure. Pretty smart, right?
But you know, amazing tech isn't always enough to win. Arbitrum's real masterstroke, the thing that really put them on the map, was making it ridiculously easy for developers to jump on board. They made their system almost perfectly compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM. And what did that mean? It meant that thousands of huge Ethereum apps, think Uniswap, Aave, could just pack their bags and move over to Arbitrum almost overnight. And they brought all their users and all their money with them.
And what happens when you pull off a move like that? You don't just get a faster network. You get a whole thriving digital economy, a kingdom just buzzing with activity.
Yeah, let's go back to that TVL number for a second. When you actually see it next to its rivals, the difference is just undeniable. That huge pile of money acts like its own gravitational pull, you know? It sucks in new projects, which brings in more users, which brings in more money. It's this incredibly powerful cycle.
And this isn't just a one-trick pony. Look at the variety of projects living here. You've got the DeFi heavyweights, right? Aave for lending, GMX for high-powered derivatives trading, and of course, Uniswap, the king of exchanges. But look closer. You see a name like Franklin Templeton. That's a giant from traditional finance. That tells you this isn't just some crypto playground anymore. It's a serious, grown-up economy.
But a good king never gets complacent, right? Arbitrum isn't just sitting back and counting its gold. It's actively trying to expand its empire with some really ambitious plans for what's next.
Okay, first big thing, the Stylus upgrade. This is huge. Before Stylus, if you wanted to build on Arbitrum, you pretty much had to know Solidity, Ethereum's main programming language. But now, they've thrown the doors wide open. Developers use common languages like Rust, C++. They can all come and build now. We're talking about potentially increasing the number of developers who can work on Arbitrum by like 100 times. It's an open invitation for millions of Web 2 builders to come join the party.
And then there's the next big move, and this might be the most important one yet. Real-world assets, or RWAs. Arbitrum is making a massive push to become the place where real-world things, like treasury bonds, get tokenized and traded. And look who they're partnering with. Not little crypto startups. We're talking about giants like Franklin Templeton and WisdomTree.
That is a massive signal of trust from the traditional finance world.
And just to give you an idea of how big this is, the market for tokenized real-world assets could be worth up to $16 trillion by 2030. So by trying to become the foundation for all of that, Arbitrum isn't just playing the crypto game anymore. They're going for a prize that's way, way bigger.
Okay, but of course, it's not all smooth sailing. No king rules without facing challenges. And to keep that crown, Arbitrum has to deal with some pretty significant weaknesses and some very powerful enemies.
Right now, its biggest weak spot, its Achilles heel, really, is something called the sequencer. This is the part of the system that orders all the transactions, and for now, it's run by a single group, the Arbitrum Foundation. Now, they can't steal your money, but a centralized sequencer means there's a risk of censorship or the network going down. Making this thing decentralized is probably the single most important job on their to-do list.
And meanwhile, the competition is getting fierce. The whole Layer 2 space is a war of different ideas. You have other optimistic rollups trying to catch up, but then you have this whole new type of challenger on the horizon, ZK rollups. See, instead of being optimistic and waiting for someone to find a mistake, ZK rollups use some really advanced math to prove that every transaction is valid right from the start. It means you get your money faster, and a lot of people think it's the better technology in the long run, even if it's been a bit slower to get going.
So that's where we are. Arbitrum's mix of perfect timing, great tech, and brilliant strategy has absolutely made it the king of Layer 2s today, no question about it. But with these new technologies, like ZK rollups getting stronger, the war for Ethereum's future is a long way from over. The big question is, will the king's massive, wealthy empire be enough to hold the throne?